Hello all MRBers and welcome to another video with me, Mike McRock. I am one half of the McRock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show. Right now I'm going to deliver to you my review for this week's episode of WWE NXT. It is the February 22nd edition of the show. What did I think about the show overall? I got some mixed feelings about it. There are some good things, there are some not good things. I will give you my rating at the end of this video. The way I'm going to break it down this week is that I will start off what happened on the first segment all the way leading up to the final match of the show. Really, the show revolved around the match between Andrade, Cien, and Almas defending the NXT Championship against Johnny Gargano, and I like that video package that they sold before the music intro kicked in. I like how that video package established Cien when he came in. He was down on his luck. He was losing matches. He was doing the whole GQ Playboy gimmick, and he was trying to find himself, and they put in Selena Vega to help him out, to be his manager, and they progress him further and further, and then he becomes the NXT champion. And the way I looked at this video package overall, building up to this match, was that it seemed like the way they portrayed this story felt like that they were about to write off Andrade, Cien, and Almas to have him lose the NXT championship, which planted a really good seed. You know, what if the possibility, okay, if you're giving us this video package and building up on Andrade to have him lose here, that was a really good way. To me, that you almost convinced me that Andrade was going to lose the championship. You almost had me convinced on that video package. Let's start off with the first match on the show. The first match was the Velveteen Dream versus No Way Jose in a one-on-one match. The Velveteen Dream goes over in this match. To me, this match was decent enough, but it wasn't as entertaining like I hoped it would be. And I think the match would have been a lot better maybe a few months or even several months ago, when the Velveteen Dream was getting the right heel heat and not all the cheers he's getting, and when No Way Jose was a serviceable babyface jobber getting a decent enough reaction. If the match happened then, I would have been fine. To me, this match came a few months too late. But what I did like about this match was that when the Velveteen Dream is in the ring with someone with a gimmick, he plays off that gimmick. He did it with Aleister Black at TakeOver War Games. He did it with Cassius Ohno as well. And he did it here with No Way Jose, mocking and poking fun at his dancing. Those are the things I like about this match. But it was unfortunate that it was the only good, entertaining moment for the match for me. Velveteen Dream, to me, made this match interesting. Then after the match, Velveteen Dream cuts a promo and pretty much calls himself the male competitor of the year, the overall performer of the year, and match of the year, and that his name is on everyone's tongue, which I like. He's actually acknowledging the crowd's reaction to him, but he's still being a dick about it. He's still being a heel about it. He's still playing the heel role, but he's getting that mixed reactions of cheers and boos, and it kind of throws off the dynamics with his character. And another thing I want to point out is that why would he call out Tyler Bate last week? Here's the reason why I think he done that, is because he took issue of Tyler Bates winning, getting the attention around him and winning the match of the year, that match he had with Pete Dunne. To me, this makes storytelling sense here. It is simple. It is effective. And I could see this match happening either within the next few weeks on NXT or at TakeOver New Orleans. And part of me wants me to have NXT build up to this match leading up to New Orleans TakeOver, because it would be a good utilization of the Velveteen Dream and also a good utilization of Tyler Bate, because let's face it, there's no direction for Tyler Bate right now. There's almost no direction with the Velveteen Dream, and I think those two could benefit for a feud together. Weeks of building leading up to TakeOver New Orleans. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Now, for me, the real highlight of this show is when William Regal announced that the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic will begin in 2 weeks. Yeah, boy! Now we're talking. I am really excited to see this, and it couldn't have come at a better time. This came at the perfect time. You want to build up to NXT TakeOver New Orleans, and you want to start thinking about, what could you do with your 3 main titles. You have one idea for the NXT title, one idea for the NXT Women's title, but what really do you have? Or what creative things or what things you want to bring back that you could do for your tag team division? This is the thing to do. Bringing back that Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament Classic, and to me, that's the thing that will spark some real interest leading up to TakeOver New Orleans. And I like that the tournament actually feels important, because not only does the winner of the tournament win the Dusty Cup, but the winner also gets a shot at the NXT Tag Team Championships. It makes perfect sense. It is not rocket science, and I miss things like this today in WWE. The WWE is in short supply of making sense. It really is. This is really good, and I see the potential of good possibilities of who could win the tournament, and also what teams could be in this as well. You have the possibility of War Machine debuting in the Tag Team Tournament Classic, like when Sanity debuted at the last one. So I think that team should be in it. I see the possibility of the Street Profits, Sanity, Heavy Machinery, TM61. I don't know why you decided to do that teasing split of Tito Sampatelli and Riddick Moss a couple of weeks ago, when you could have just incorporated them in this Tag Team Tournament Classic. Maybe they will, I don't know, but we'll see. To me, I don't know about the Authors of Pain. I mean, I think you kind of been there, done that with them. And I think what makes the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament Classic nice and refreshing is that for the past couple of ones, we got to see different winners. When the tournament started, you had Finn Balor and Samoa Joe win the tournament, and AOP win it a couple of years ago, and now let's have a new winner. Let's have a nice, fresh thing happen. At this point, I don't see Sanity winning because, again, you kind of had a good, decent run with them for the NXT Tag Team titles. Maybe the Street Profits. Here are the options for me as of this point. I could see either the Street Profits winning, or Heavy Machinery, or I think NXT might build up TM61 to win this tournament. In a way, it makes sense because they were in the final match, but at this point, I don't know if they should. I don't know if it's the best option, but I don't think it's the worst option either. Again, Street Profits. I will pick that team to win this tournament. Then we get into the next match on the card, and that was Nikki Cross versus Vanessa Bourne. There's really not much to talk about with this match. Nikki Cross wins and the show moves on. That's it. I do want to mention, though, that for the past while now, it just seems like that Nikki Cross is just Nikki Cross, and she hasn't been seen with the rest of the group's Sanity for a while now. Now, I'm all fine and good with her branching up as a singles competitor, because eventually you have to grow. But to me, the real appeal with Nikki Cross is when she is with the group Sanity, and I feel that NXT is just slightly diminishing her character and her appearances on NXT. To me, she stands out a lot more when she is with Sanity, because you can do all sorts of stuff with her when she's around them, and when Sanity is facing someone like the Authors of Pain or AOP or whatever. But when it comes to her singles matches, NXT can only do so much with her. I think, to me, her best singles match is with her match between Asuka in the street fight for the NXT Women's Championship. That's the only one I could really think of. I can't think of anything else besides that. So you can only do so much with Nikki Cross as a singles competitor. Why bother building her up as an individual when you're just going to just put her in enhancement matches? At least try to give her some sort of sense of direction instead of doing this type of thing. Let her be Insanity and let her be her own person in that group. To me, like I said, she stands out a lot more there. Then we get to the main event of the show, and this is where I'm really going to talk about the meat of this review. This is the thing that I will talk about the most. And that is the match between Andrade, Cien, Almas versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT Championship. And the stipulation heading into this match was that if Johnny Gargano loses, he is out of NXT for good. His career is over. To me, this match done exactly what I wanted that I didn't get at TakeOver Philadelphia. For me, I am happy that we got this, and this match also felt different than their match at TakeOver Philadelphia as well. They've done things in this match in certain spots that made it nice and refreshing. Is it better than their match at TakeOver Philadelphia? You know what? I'm actually going to say yes to that. And I might get some heat, I don't know, and I don't care, but that's just my opinion. I think that this match has better storytelling elements than their match at TakeOver Philadelphia. I think this match told a better story because of the elements at play here at the end of it, whereas their match at Philly, they just didn't tell the right story in the right way, in the way the story needed to be told, and it just fell flat. This match here on this show, to me, was very satisfying. A lot more satisfying. And I love how it started. It started off pretty good with a suicide dive from Candice LeRae to Zelina Vega. From there, the match never really missed a beat at all. But we are really here to talk about how the match ended. The match ended to me like I hoped it would. What happened was that the ref gets knocked out from a bump from Andrade Cien Almas. Gargano then has Cien in the Gargano escape. Here's a funny thing. Normally the heel taps when the ref is knocked out, but I actually found it funny that Cien didn't even tap at all, knowing he was the one that knocked out the ref, and then Ciampa comes out and hits Gargano with the crutch. Cien goes for the pin. The ref comes to end the count. 1, 2, 3. Andrade Cien Almas retains the NXT Championship. Johnny Gargano loses his career due to Tommaso Ciampa's interference. Mauro Ranallo's selling of the moment was absolutely amazing. He acted like someone died. He was like, no! It was so good. Mauro was really good. There was actual passion behind the commentary booth. This was good. The fans, at one point, were booing it. They were booing at Ciampa, booing at the announcer mentioning the stipulation afterward. A lot of this felt right. But in the same time, I do have a couple of nitpicks about this match and this segment overall. One was that after that suicide dive between with Candice LeRae diving off Zelina Vega, they have that scuffle, and they scuffle their way off TV for a period of time while the match was taking place. And when the match ended, Zelina comes back in the ring to celebrate with Cien, and I was thinking, how did she get away from Candice backstage? There was like no mention of it at all. You know, things like that are noticeable when you're watching this kind of thing. But that's just really a nitpick on the whole grand scheme of things. It wasn't really about that. This was really about the two guys in the ring. To me, the main issue I have about this whole segment and this whole story here was the crowd. And I have a question. Why would you chant, "Thank you, Johnny," after his former best friend, now turned enemy in Tommaso Ciampa, cost him his career? Why would you chant this? Shouldn't you be more pissed at Tommaso Ciampa costing your beloved babyface his career? This made no sense, and it threw off some of the dynamics of creating a good story here. This kind of frustrated me, actually. And it took the ring announcer and Tommaso Ciampa waving goodbye at Johnny Gargano to get the crowd to boo, when they should have just booed this entire thing completely to begin with. Even Gargano's facial expressions, he should have looked a lot more pissed here, and he acted like he was frustrated, but not to the extent that he should have sold it. That stuff like that pulled me out of the segment, so I had some mixed feelings about how this whole thing was executed. There were some good parts to it, but there was also not so good parts to it. But we all know that Johnny Gargano is not really leaving NXT, because why would you write him off this way on a regular NXT show leading up to a takeover event instead of a show after a takeover? This is NXT leading up to Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa at TakeOver New Orleans, and we'll probably add a stipulation to it. Maybe non-section match or whatever. As long as it is a stipulation that makes sense. And also, even though the fans were chanting "Thank you, Johnny," threw me off, the dynamics here, the storytelling elements with everything else look really good, and there's actual real interest here as well. If NXT is working this angle, I hope that they play out the stipulation right. Don't have Johnny Gargano on NXT every single week leading up to TakeOver New Orleans, like when you did when John Cena was on every week when he was supposedly fired after he lost the match with Nexus. Don't do it, NXT. I'm warning you, don't do it. Please and thank you. So overall, this week's episode of NXT, it was a decent show. It was better than the past couple of weeks, but there were some things that still bother me a bit while watching it. The highlight for me was the potential rivalry building to Gargano and Ciampa, and how the way that match ended, as well as the announcement of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Tournament Classic. A lot of the other stuff was a mixed bag, like the first match and the women's match. And to me, that match wasn't just all that important, and you really didn't need to see it. You only really need to see this show for the main event and the announcement of the Tag Team Classic, and maybe the Velveteen Dream working in a match. So I'll give this show overall a 6.5 out of 10. If you saw NXT this week, what did you think about it? Feel free to leave those comments right here in the comment section below. And you can also hit that subscribe button down below this video as well to become an MRBer on the Mick Rock and Bolt Wrestling Review Show.